All right, how is everybody doing this morning, this afternoon, wherever you might be? Welcome to a live stream. It's been like 6 months since the last one, which is completely ridiculous and frankly unacceptable from my point of view. But we're back, we're here, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna be here for a couple hours. We're going to take a look at all kinds of fun stuff in this 1-2-1 build of New York. Got a new background behind me. Finally got my desk set up in the place that I wanted to, my new apartment. I think maybe if I continue to do more streams, it'll be time for like I don't know, a green screen or something like that at some point. But for right now, we're gonna ride it out. Please let me know if all the audio is balanced correctly. You should have a little bit of our looping theme in the background, as well as a little bit of game noise, but you should mostly be hearing me. And what we're going to be looking at today is, like we normally do in these live streams, just about whatever you want to look at. So I'll be off screen here looking at your chats as much as I can, and I'll also be up into my Google Maps as well, because one of the things that I like to do today is to finish off the grid in this section of Manhattan, which is the West Village, Greenwich Village area. An area that I left out for a long time because this is an older part of the city and not on the grid as the rest of the city. We could also maybe finish up this little bit of Chelsea here that's not been gridded out. But this is really what I'd like to get to today because, and if any of you are on Reddit, and I am Web250 on Reddit, unfortunately, you can't change your usernames on Reddit. So it's an old school name, not the I think you know that I tend to go with now on most platforms. But I did end up finishing gridding out all of Sunnyside and, you know, the southern part of Long Island City here, as well as the rest of Greenpoint and Williamsburg, west of the BQE essentially. And that's been done for a few reasons. One, so that I could change my overlay to something that I can work on Brooklyn and Manhattan with again, because we've been in Queens for a while, and I think it was time to move on from that and look at some other things. But you know, sometimes getting the overlays to fit just right is a little bit tricky. So I just spent some time off camera filling in all of this to kind of show you the extent of where I plan to go in Queens. There's a chance I might do a little bit of Astoria up here, and I definitely still do want to put in all the train yards that are here, but that'll happen in the future. Another really important bit that I wanted to finish up was really not finalizing, but at least getting into a better place the overall highway network in the city. And while I want the city to run on mass transit more than anything, you know, the City Skylines game is really built around cars, for better or for worse. And there was a big gap for a while here in the BQE. So I've now connected the BQE up over the Kosciuszko Bridge and into this large interchange here, which is just off the overlay. But this, I've not finished it. This actually would continue this way, and then like that. Eventually, this goes to another interchange, and then eventually over to the Triborough Bridge. And in the previous build of this, I actually ended up very late in the series, kind of getting up here, but never really giving it too much time. I may get there eventually with this series, but for the most part, I wanted the traffic coming from off the map to be able to either go directly into Queens and Manhattan through the Midtown Tunnel, or now be able to connect down into Brooklyn. I still don't think it's going to solve all of our problems. If we back out here real quick out of the free view, you'll see that pretty much every commercial building is like, where are my goods? This is a really common problem in the game, and not one that I'm probably able to solve easily at all. I'm shocked that there's not like a mod to really fix this, or maybe there is and I'm not familiar with it. But in previous iterations of the game, I actually ended up building, there is like a small, in real life, like a small train spur into Bushwick somewhere out here, where there is some freight rail. And in the game, I kind of hacked it in to be like a heavy freight rail area to just funnel traffic into Brooklyn and over in Manhattan to Manhattan over the Williamsburg Bridge. But I don't even think that would help too much at this point. So I think really what we need to be doing is finish gridding out so this looks nice, and hopefully in the next few episodes doing a lot more industrial, because you could see the demand for that is very high, whereas the demand for housing and commercial is pretty much stagnant at this point. If you saw a few videos ago, we took off the realistic population mod. It was just causing too much strain and was really going to limit what we could do in this series, but we're kind of steady now, around about 170,000 people, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm confident that I can get this build up to around 250k before it really starts to struggle and break down, but that does give us a lot of room to still work with, and really would allow us to fill in. I'm hoping a lot of this before we get any place further. Now, there hasn't been an actual series video in I think about a couple of months now, or maybe it's just been about 1 month, and I have been working on some things off screen. So one of the bits that I was trying to get a video out on was to do more of the Lower East Side. Let's get back into this good view here. I'm trying to think. I think like a few of these blocks are new, just kind of putting in things, you know, wherever it makes sense to me. But then I got really distracted by basically totally redoing Delancey Street here, which, you know, a lot of these older builds, I used older road models or more vanilla stuff because that's what I had at the time. But now that I'm going back and redoing some areas, I am trying to put in a little bit of newer, these big urban roads, trying to balance some traffic lights, trying to do a little bit of detailing. This is one where I didn't quite finish the detailing, as you can tell, but certainly we'll try to get back to that at some point. If there is a favorite part of the series that you'd like to see, or you haven't seen in a while, you'd like me to take a look at, just shout it out. But just so happy with where we are here at the moment. I know because there haven't been many episodes, you might think that not too much has been going on, but little by little, I've been working through this, trying to get everything to work very nicely, and just trying to make this look more and more like the city. So I felt pretty good posting this week on Reddit. Got a nice reception on that one. People always love I use the CSL map view mod to get you that kind of overview and to show all the train lines, which of course I'm very fond of doing. I always like showing off how cool the subway looks. I think the next thing I want to do in the subway is I want to fix up. This is the 7th Avenue line, the 123. And this is one that I built before I was doing things properly and didn't build it directly under the road. So at some point I will go back and, you know, from what is straightened and fixed up here, get this running perfectly correct down into Lower Manhattan so that I can rebuild the 1, 2, and the 3. Because right now, if we take a look at what trains are being used, and we're seeing about 4,000 people a week using the subway, which is fantastic, but I'm having some issues with the 6. It should be working and it's not. I haven't been able to figure that one out, but we have the G that also is not working, or part of it at least. But some of these lines are seeing a ton of use, particularly the local F&M on the 6th Avenue line. But the 4-5 is, you know, really a backbone as it is in real life because, well, the 6 isn't running in the game yet. And what else? I think the 7 is like probably done. So the 7 now has been extended from its terminus at 34th Street, Hudson Yards in Manhattan, all the way out to, this is 52nd Street, Lincoln Ave in Sunnyside, Woodside. And then I just kind of hacked in a metro terminal just to get this running. And I think we saw this in one of the previous episodes when we did look at this really cool double-decker station. This was actually the last episode, the most recent episode. And that's working great, but just to get this 7 working a bit better, I did extend this out, and I even tried building the viaducts. Somebody had actually asked me in their Reddit post, like, oh, you're gonna do the viaducts, and I don't know if this is the best way to do it, because there's nothing like underneath these, but I actually think this looks pretty cool. I probably should remove the traffic lights from these streets. That's easy to do. I have a 1-to-1 New Jersey side of New York from Jersey City to Fort Lee. Would look great in the background of your build. Yeah, Matt, that is awesome. I don't know how familiar you might be with some of the work I've done in the past, but right now New Jersey is just like a place for me to put all the power and garbage and all that. But on my previous build of this, which wasn't on a YouTube series, was just, you know, an occasional Reddit post and just me working on it, I actually had built out most of Jersey City, all of Hoboken. I didn't fill in all the buildings, but I had like a pretty good amount going on the waterfront, and if I can find some pictures at some point. Oh, hey, Katana, what's up? So that was a lot of fun to build this, and I did have like the light rail running and the path trains running, and pretty early on in this series I decided that I wouldn't be doing anything in New Jersey. There's still the chance I might change my mind on that and maybe at least do a little bit in New Jersey. But But I think if I can save my networks and nodes for more of Brooklyn, for more, maybe some more of Queens, and we'll see. I want to get everything like that I want to do built out first, and then I can see, ooh, I have 10,000 nodes left. Let's go. Let's start building something else. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the game has like a whole bunch of limits in it. I don't even know what mod this is, but it's like mapped to the same one that marking tool is. So I always gotta like, it's kind of funky, but you can see right now I have 15,000 nodes out of 32,000 and 17,000 segments out of 36,000. So we've used about half of our overall allotment. And that sounds like, oh, there's so much on here, so much more to go. But certain neighborhoods, certain parts of this region have tighter roads, have more roads, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can use that up. Especially if I was doing Hoboken with its smaller blocks or Jersey City. Even all these blocks down here in Greenwich Village, West Village, which we're hoping to build today, can really get pretty messy pretty fast. And really build up that count. So let's pause the simulation real quick, and I'm gonna jump onto my other monitor. I now have my second monitor is vertical now, which hopefully lets me, among many other reasons why I like it like this now, it should make it so that I'm not like so over on the screen. I'm looking at an entire landscape monitor next to me, so I now have this monitor in portrait mode, which is a lot of fun. But let's build out the streets around Washington Square Park, which every time I build it, when I've done, this is on my third time building a version of New York, it's really funky because it's not like exactly square. Like it looks like when you're in it in real life, it feels like it's square, but it's not. It just isn't. It's like slightly askew. I actually had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago of going to a ghost tour around Washington Square Park. This is something that a good friend of mine put together, and there really wasn't a ton of us there that day, but it really was a lot of fun getting to we got led around by a guy who actually lives in Queens like myself, but he was kind of an expert, an enthusiast about the paranormal, and we got a lot of really cool stories of a bunch of old buildings, because this part of the city, the reason why it's not gridded is it predates the grid, and the grid plan is from 1811, so that gives you a really good idea of how old some of these parts of the city are. West Village, Greenwich Village was really one of the areas that was like first populated once downtown Manhattan got like too crowded, too dirty, too messy for a lot of people to really be living there anymore. And that's a lot of the history of New York in general, is just, let's move further uptown where it's quieter and, not so busy. And then, eventually you end up, you end up further and further uptown. But of course, those kind of hard and fast rules don't really land anymore, since the city has changed and evolved so much over the years. So when I'm trying to do these grids, and I feel like we don't do a ton of gridding on the live streams, and of course during the videos this is all really fast, is really trying to get these to be as like even and accurate as possible, but also knowing that it's pretty easy to just like come back and move it to like this node's like a little too, I'm gonna move this up like just a bit. Now I don't need to make it perfect, we're not trying to be perfectionists here, especially in this lovely game that we all enjoy so much. But I'm also trying to look at the streets to make sure I get like the grids right, like the right kinds of roads. So Washington Square Park being one of the busiest parks in the city, one of the most popular, one of the most storied, it has really good infrastructure around it. So it's heavily surrounded by bike lanes, which is great considering the fact that so many of the people that live around here are students. NYU, New York University, has pretty much taken over this entire neighborhood. Now that's a little bit of a controversial thought amongst a lot of New Yorkers, because this area is so famous and so historical, and it really should be for everyone, but NYU has really done a bang-up job of just buying as much as they can in this area and making it almost like their own little campus. if you can afford to go to their roughly $60,000 a year school. Yes, you heard that right. It is roughly $60,000 a year to go to NYU, which NYU is an amazing school, and it's wild. I think it gets a little controversy these days because you do see so many foreign students now. And listen, they have every right to come to this country and get themselves well educated and then hopefully stay here and share that education with those around them. But it's just become such a wealthy school, such an expensive school to go to that it often is up to wealthy foreigners to be the ones who can afford to send their children to the school. And then the last street, this is actually 5th Avenue. So 5th Avenue like dead ends into the park. And then the famous arch is right here. I have to see if I have the Arc de Triomphe asset installed. If I do, I'll use that because I can use PO to kind of make it a little bit smaller and mimic what it is in real life. Hold on, let me get back to chat here, make sure I'm not missing out on you guys. Hello, Scatman Pro. It has been so long, and it is good to be back. I almost feel like I need to rebuild the channel a little bit. Like, you know, these streams used to get, you know, 40, 50 people, or you know, we'll see if we get there today. But it's I get it. You know, it's hard to YouTube. The algorithm definitely intentionally penalizes you if you don't release videos fast enough, if you don't stream often enough, if those streams aren't popular enough. I mean, there are so many little tricks and whatnot that they use to really reinforce their creators to, you know, be as active as they want them to be. And, you know, I get that they're running a business as well, but it can be a little disconcerting to just be a regular person with a regular job where, as much as I enjoy doing this, this isn't my, you know, my full-time gig. But then to kind of feel like you lose out on the ability to do certain things because, you know, YouTube is penalizing you. So the roads around here are really tricky. So you get a lot of switching between, where are my roads? You get a lot of switching between bike lanes and not bike lanes. And then like suddenly roads will switch from one way to not one way. I'm looking at, this is University Place right here. And it's weird because the map, Google Maps is showing me that it's like two-way in some places, but I actually don't think it's, I think it's like one way all the way. It's just the arrows on Google are not fantastic. Thanks, Google. You're the best. I love how when, like, you know, certain things that you should definitely make sure work properly don't work properly. So we'll just do that. We'll put that straight up into the park and, or actually, is this last, man, it is like super confusing that they do it like that. Oh, actually, so it looks like, and of course, like my overlays are older and things have been changing in New York. So this road is now pedestrianized. So we'll pedestrianize that. We'll center this node. And then let's see, 13th Street, which on my original build here is not a bike lane because I didn't have the right bike lane assets, but now we do. So let's upgrade. Let's do some upgrades. Let's see. 13th Street is a bike lane from where to where? Is it all the way to the water? Looks like it might be. All the way to Avenue B. So that's good. So Avenue B is this one right here. So, oh, I do have this upgraded over here. Weird that I didn't drag it all the way. But we can do that. Fantastic. Oh, now I gotta find myself on Google Maps again. This is a real problem, especially in this area, because it's just like, ugh. Really give yourself a bit of a headache trying to do this too much. Connect that to there. The good thing is, like, once you have a lot of the avenues placed in, you can really start gridding out. Like, you can grid pretty quickly in this game, which is a good thing. I mean, it's the way it should be. Especially when we all know that grids are the most common way to get things done. Let's see, 5th Avenue. I think I can just stick with this same. This is like my custom road. Yeah, this is the First Avenue road that I built. I have to put the intersection marking tool onto this to make it look exactly right. But this is a special road that I built in the asset editor, which has like a bike lane on it. Actually, let me just, why talk about it when I can show you? So let's click on that. Let's go to templates. Oh no. Wait a minute. Is it not there anymore? Did I lose my templates? Crap. I don't like that. Where did everything go? What am I? I'm like losing my mind right now. It should look like this. Maybe I just have to like copy this? Is that the way to do it? And then paste. And then flip this. There we go. Nope, apply. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so this is the road look. So it has like a bike lane built in on one side. This is a buffered parking lane. There's a bus lane, and there is another parking lane on the side here. Only problem is like every time I drag a new road, it'll delete the markings. It's okay though. We need CS2 with 150 tiles. Yeah, so that's something we should also talk about today. Is City Skylines 2 has been announced. Although, you know, I'm being honest, like they've announced nothing, and you know they've confirmed it will be in Unity, the same engine that this is based on, but obviously an upgraded, newer version. But they released a trailer in Unreal, and it looked really cool. Who's asking for Staten Island? Staten Island's like way down here off the map. Also, I wouldn't even do it if I had it. My hot take there is that Staten Island should be sold to New Jersey, and Hudson County should be sold to New York. Just give it a little swap. Let's all move on with our lives. Fair enough. Good. We're agreed. We're aligned. I like it. I mean, like, just kidding, obviously, but also not. Like, I really do think that would serve the needs of the people in these areas a lot better. But, you know, given our current political climate, I can't imagine something like that ever happening. Ever. It's just so remarkably, incredibly unlikely. All right, and this is what happens when you drag a road down and you don't like take care of the nodes. Then you have to just like do this. Oop, I missed one. So I'm gonna keep gridding for a little bit, but like I said, please drop in chat what parts of the city that have been built that you haven't seen in a while do you want to see? Because I would like to show it to you. Let's see, 13th Street. Oh, this actually stays as a bike lane the whole way. Yeah, I think this is one of like the bike lane pairs that that DOT built a couple of years ago. And of course, in New York, everyone loves complaining about their bike lanes, but they are immensely popular. They're awesome. And we should build more of them in more places, everywhere. You hear me? Where I just moved to in Queens, the bike lane network's pretty great. I don't have a bike myself at the moment, but it is something that I want to buy at some point this spring, whatever. Unfortunately, I am currently dealing with a bit of a busted up toe. I managed to break a toe real bad a couple of weeks ago. Do not recommend it. I slammed it into a metal door frame pretty awkwardly, and my immediate reaction was F. I knew I immediately had broken my toe. I heard it crack, and I stood up, and my toe was like this. And yeah, I don't recommend it. Don't do that to yourself if you have any choice. Here's actually a cool one we haven't seen yet. I put this on off camera. This is Lennox Health Greenwich Village. This is a new asset from the workshop. It actually acts as a hospital. And yeah, pretty cool asset. Pretty simple. But you gotta love the little details, the emergency details, and it is just very unique and Very unique, yeah, unique looking in general, which I appreciate. Okay, let's get back to gridding. I need the one-way bike lane again. And then let's reverse this back the other way. Straighten out these nodes. I always miss one. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so this is 12th Street, which again is like, so 13th Street goes one way and 12th Street goes the other way. That's what I mean when I say paired bike lanes. And this is a pretty common strategy you're seeing a lot of cities use, in New York in particular, since we have so many one-ways. Of course, if you talk to a lot of, you know, transit and urban design people in the modern era, they'll actually tell you that, you know, one-ways are not very heavily desired anymore, and it's kind of an anachronism that New York has them. And another thing that people in New Yorkers won't realize is that the avenues in particular, and now I don't know exactly which and which were like what and what, but the avenues were not always single directional. They were actually dual directional, I think, on most or all of them. And that was changed, I believe, in the 50s and 60s, of course, to make driving easier. Even though they are less safe for pedestrians because they encourage timed traffic lights to let you speed and go faster. All right, looking at, what do you think about the Queens and Brooklyn DLC? There's a Queens and Brooklyn DLC? Did I miss that? New York City is enormous. It doesn't even fit on 81 tiles. Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't. I mean, this is a lot of New York. Huge parts of Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan and the Jersey side, but pretty much none of the Bronx. The only part of the Bronx is this little bit sticking out up here. Almost no airports. Like, LaGuardia is here. No, I will never build it. Stop asking. JFK is not there. There is no Staten Island. There's no suburbs. I think it'd be really fun to do like a scaled version, like, you know, really scale it to the point you can get suburbs and do it, but it just wouldn't be the same. I don't think it would look quite right, and that's why I've always made the choice to go with the one-to-one build, because I don't know, I think it's cool. I like it. It's fun. What do I think about Gaseous Stranger building Rochester? So I haven't seen their build myself. I actually, despite the copious amounts of YouTube that I do watch, I haven't watched a lot of YouTubers, like City Skylines YouTubers recently. I used to be a very avid watcher of $2.20 and Prez when he was still making videos, and, you know, Biffa and so many others, but I just, to me, if like I'm going to be spending time on City Skylines, I need to be spending it here, like on my build. And it's not like an offense to any of the creators out there who are doing really awesome work. I just, you know, I have a life. I do other things, but I still love doing this and do want to do it more. So I'm trying to get that done wherever I can. Where am I? I'm on 7th Avenue here. Okay. It's so easy to get lost in what you're doing here because there's just so many. Okay, let's see. 11th Street next. So 11th is, yeah, fully east to west. Generally, the way you remember in New York, if you're ever here visiting, is that odd is east. Is that it? I'm like forgetting already. The odd, no, sorry, yeah, the odd number streets go, even is east, odd is west, yeah. So even for east. So like the even numbers, so like 12th Street here goes towards the east. That's probably the easiest way you can remember how the streets go, unless you want to be memorizing all the magic numbers, which I don't think even most New Yorkers are aware of those. So you can look that up on Wikipedia. I think we've talked about it before, but basically, like, if you're like a cab driver, there's like a way for like someone to say, like, based on the street that they want to go to and the cross street, there's like a little formula you can do. So if they're saying, hey, I want to go to like 1300 2nd Avenue, you do a little formula and then you can know like what the cross streets are. and each street has its own formula. It's like, you know, subtract this and then divide by that, and then you get the number. Because the numbering plans in New York are like pretty regular, unless there's some kind of you know, dead end or something in the way that makes it kind of change its pattern. All right, that's 11th Street done. How many FPS does this build? Okay, so let's take a look. That's a very good, fun thing to take a look at. So right now, this is, and it's hard to see up in the corner, but right now we're at about 25 FPS, 26, 22. Now we're running the simulation, and now we're in an area that doesn't have a lot of buildings, doesn't have a lot of streets or cars or people. We're at 22 to 25. Now, we go into Lower Manhattan. We're down to 18, 10, 9, 11, 15. But it is pretty, you can see it does, like, it's not a slideshow. I mean, it looks pretty good. It is pretty fluid. It's workable for sure. One of the real boons, kind of positive things that I've had happen in the last few months in City Skylines, and one of the reasons why I couldn't put out videos for a little while was with all the new DLCs that have come out and all these like patches and upgrades that Paradox Colossal Order have done, is there's been a whole lot of new mods. So I swapped out a bunch of old mods, I put in a bunch of new mods, and they're working really great. And removing some of those older antiquated mods has made the game much more fluid. So I mean, that's why we can take a look here at the Brooklyn Bridge, and it's just working nicely. I mean, we're at 17 FPS, 18 FPS. I mean, that would be hot garbage if you were playing an FPS, but for playing City Skylines in an 8-year-old game, heavily modded with over 1,000 assets, this is primo. Yeah, Peru, it's tough. I mean, in all my videos, in the description, I talk about, you know, what my computer runs. So, City Skylines is both a CPU and memory intensive game. I have a Ryzen 5900X. That's a 12 core, 24 thread CPU. And I recently upgraded to 64 gigs of 3200 megahertz DDR4. So I've basically maxed out my system as far as it can go in terms of being able to handle this game. And for other reasons too. I mean, having the fast CPU in particular makes my render times like so quick. I basically render in real time, and what I mean by that is, like, you know, a 20-minute video takes roughly 20 minutes to render, and that's in 1440p at max bitrate. Because I don't mind the file size, and you know, I let YouTube deal with the compression. This guy, Maxwell, says, can you do Jersey City and Hoboken? Were you a fan of Maxwell's when it was in Hoboken, famous all music venue? Which I talked about a little bit before, but probably not. Maybe a little bit no time soon. That's about the best I can say right now, unfortunately. Building next to the Manhattan Bridge. You mean like these ones right here? These are actually residential buildings. These aren't the actual building. This is like, these are actually called buildings from Hudson Yards that just kind of work there, but yeah, I could use the Chase Manhattan building. I think I have that somewhere down here already, though. Yeah, like this one right here. This building is one Chase Manhattan Plaza. Kind of an older Ricoh asset. Love me some Lower Manhattan. I might be going into Manhattan later, haven't decided yet. I want to go out and enjoy myself and have fun. It's a beautiful day here in New York, but also at the same time, my toe is broken, so it makes things a little bit more difficult to commit to going out and doing something like that. All right, here we go. Let's do the rest of this. Is Greenwich Avenue here, this kind of cutting through on a diagonal. And let's say this goes as a two-way street all the way till it dead ends. Good. So let's Let's try to make this even and straight. Do it the right way so we don't have to do as much. Move it later. Always have to lay these down on an angle. Let's see. Perfect. And then let's see, this road next to it, great, yeah. So then this street down here, this is Christopher Street, which, I don't know, I think I might, like, I think I want to do a little bit of Hoboken in Jersey City because I do want to build the path. And if you remember from one of the videos where we built the subway out, I actually, and we'll take a look at it in just a second. Let me get that dumped in there. Okay. You shouldn't be able to make that turn. So let's do this. You stay straight. Perfect. Let's take a look at the subway lines. So you can see that there's this little kind of like bit sticking out of here, the 6th Avenue line, and that is meant where you see these dotted lines. This becomes the path, which, you know, kind of hits Christopher Street over here somewhere and then goes into Hoboken. But when we built the 6th Avenue line, and the 6th Avenue line is one of the last ones built in Manhattan, and the express part of it was even built later. So, you know, here at West 4th Street, it is normal. But then it used to just kind of all merge up, and there was local tracks up here. But the reason why there's still room in here is the path actually sits directly in between the 6th Avenue line and the subway. And the express portion here was built underground beneath it. It was incredibly expensive for them to design this because it made, and they had to like hack it in. And then, you know, this junction here is maybe not exactly how it looks in real life. I've basically tried my best with the limitations of the game. But essentially, the local 6th Avenue line tracks and merged together with the express tracks at 34th Street, Herald Square right here, and then continues on as normal. But the path, this upper level here is where the path would be. So the 33rd Street pass station sits here, and we would be able to have those running in between here and then into Hoboken, which I think would be really cool. But it'd have to make sense. I'd have to build some stuff in Hoboken for it to be kind of worth my while. But I really like how this works. Like these two lines, you know, the Broadway line and the 6th Avenue line are really working nicely, along with all this wildness up here, which, like, I mean, I still don't know like how somebody designed these things this way. And obviously it looks a little neater underground in real life than it does in this game, but all the splitting and branching is a little crazy. Harold Moss has a question. Just bang it out there. I'm going to be going back and forth between chats, so I will get to all of your questions and comments as much as I can. Can I show the city at night? I'm not going to do that right now. One of the bad things with the changes in all the mods is that they're less forgiving than they were in the past, which is why like my dark colors aren't quite right. Like some of like the housing projects down here, they're too dark. I still need to do a little bit more playing around. I got it to about as close as it looked previously, but you know, good enough. Did New York have trams? It depends what you define as a tram. New York has had elevated rails in the past. Most of those were knocked down after World War II from 1940s, 1950s. New York did have a lot of like what we used to call like streetcars essentially. So for instance, there used to be a 2nd Avenue line that went over the Queensboro Bridge and dead-ended at a separate terminal here next to the double-decker, what we built last episode. There used to be a train line. So this is the J, M, and Z, the Jamaica line. This extends further out, and then out here somewhere is the M. It splits off. Myrtle Avenue line splits off here. And that line then connects in and goes down this way, but it used to connect this way to the Brooklyn Bridge, and then on down here in the Brooklyn Bridge. So this used to be like Newspaper Row. There used to be all these old newspaper buildings. This 41 Park Row is like one of the last buildings still remaining from this area, from that era. But there used to be like a big like trolley terminus here. That's, I think, what they tended to get called in New York was trolleys. All right. There are some talks in New York to build different modes of transit. So one that was popular during the de Blasio administration was, our previous mayor, was to build the, that one, I'm like gonna get confused now. There's all these things have so many names. But the BQX, whatever they were gonna call something like that, which was a light rail line that was gonna kind of hug the waterfront through Queens and Brooklyn and kind of like dead end, I think like somewhere down here. But it was going to be at grade. It was going to basically be a giveaway to developers, and thankfully that program got killed. But the other program right now that is looking like the governor Hochul does want to prioritize it is a program called the IBX, the Interborough Express, which I believe this is part of the line where they'd want it, this kind of indentation you'd see here. But it would be an almost circumferential line that would kind of go this way, and then it picks up where I believe this indentation here is. And then they want it kind of ending at the, like around here, like at the 74th Street station. This is currently actually a freight line. It's one of the very few freight lines in New York. But they're working on a plan to share it and put in a light rail system alongside of it. What's the difference between City Skylines and SimCity? I might not be the best person to ask that because I have never actually played any of the newer SimCities. I've played like some of the older ones like when I was a kid, but what really happened here was that SimCity 4, I believe it was the last big release, and it was widely panned. It was very unpopular. It was not perceived to be a very good game, and I think that is really what spurred Colossal Order and Paradox to be like, you know, there's a niche in the market here. There's a style of game that people really want that isn't very well represented, and we could do a better job. And they did. This game is awesome. This game is also 8 years old now, so it's definitely showing its years, but we're still here, we're still doing it, so why not? That right there is Waverly Place. We built University. Can we build Green next? So also the part of the city that doesn't have, you know, these are not numbered streets over here. We're definitely into the worded streets, which is good and bad because it can be a little confusing. Be a little bit tougher to get around this part of the city if you're so used to having it being easy with names, and then all of a sudden, nope, it's numbers. Or it's numbers and now it's names. Sorry. This road is really off. It's not good. Let's see if we can fix that. Also, probably a problem of me just like not having the grid aligned, like with the overlay aligned just perfectly every time. Because I've used different grids and, you know, sometimes they are really hard to keep aligned properly in this game. So I think we'll stick with that for now, and then we're going to keep this road going down. This is also one of the areas where I've actually, you can see I've gone with these skinnier roads. This part of the city in particular really does have a lot of like, you know, one lane of traffic, one lane of parking, that's it. As opposed to most of what I use in this build, which is, you know, 2 lanes traffic, 2 lanes parking, which isn't really quite accurate either. A lot of the main one-way streets in New York do have parking on both sides, but they're really like 1.5 lanes of traffic. Like you can be double parked closely and still squeeze by somebody, but it's not a true 2 lanes of traffic. Like it's just way too tight to do that. Can I show the Statue of Liberty? Yes, I can. Down here. You always forget it's like so much further from the city than you think. But yeah, this is an area that I built like, I think in like an earlier episode. I didn't like fully, didn't quite fully design it, but it works. So I had this nice little promenade here. There's some shops and a bathroom. I had this issue where I can never get tourists to actually come into the city, even though the entertainment value is high, so this won't go up in level. But this works, you know, there is a little, you can see the boats, they're on their way. The ferries are on their way to pick people up from here and then bring them back into the terminal over here. Now, in real life, this is actually the Staten Island terminal, and the terminal for taking boats to the Statue of Liberty is like here, but I obviously haven't finished Battery Park down there. Yeah. Network multi-tool can definitely align nodes in line, as can move it. Sometimes I just don't want to, you know, like, yeah, so I could just, but it's just, I honestly can't. Oh, maybe it doesn't work like that. Maybe I do need to use the multi-tool. Let's see. Arrange in align mode, is that it? Okay, that is a little bit easier. You're right. Let's see. Let's see if it works in something like this. Yeah, okay. I dig that. Thank you for the recommendation. Network multi-tool is definitely one of those that like I don't use enough, and it's so powerful. I mean, I'm so busy often in this game, like just like trying to build roads and trying to build buildings and fill in stuff that I'm not spending as much time on detailing as I'd really like to. Will I build Philly? No, Philly can build itself. For any Philadelphians out there, nothing actually against you. Just, it's all in good fun, all in jest. But as a New Yorker, I have very little respect for Philadelphia. Sorry, not sorry. Great city though, honestly a great city. I've been there a few times. I went to college not so far from there, and it's great. I mean, it really is. It really does have some very kind people. And every time that I've visited there, I've had a really nice time. So this is 9th Street here, which also apparently has a bike lane, but oh, not the whole way. So I basically built it. I think I need to just upgrade those. That works, perfect. I've kind of adopted the rule here in this build, which is if it's a protected bike lane, like an actual separated bike lane on Google Maps, I make it a bike lane here. If it's Sharrows, I will not make it as a bike lane in the game. Hopefully everyone knows what Sharrows are. They are those lines that you see on a lot of bike routes, which basically like they're sharing arrows. It's like, oh, just share the road. Like just, you know, share your bike with your human meat bag on top of it next to a 3,000-pound gas guzzler with the, you know, a Republican screaming at you. Oh, and then here comes the drop in viewership. Nobody wants me to get political. Too bad. You don't like it, go to another channel. I don't think that valuing human life properly is political. Of course, there's been a lot of controversy in New York this week. An unhoused person dealing with some mental issues was murdered on the subway, actually very close to where I work. And our poop for brains mayor has essentially treated it like it's no big deal. Because, you know, he was disturbed and he was scaring people. Not an excuse to murder somebody. And then the former Marine, or I guess Marines are always Marines, right? Is that how that works? Basically was like put out a statement yesterday, like defending himself. Like, just shut up, dude. Like, just be happy you're not under murder charges right now, which you should be. So sad. Like, somebody that just needed help can no longer now get that help because somebody took it upon themselves to end their life. I would, you know, maybe understand if he was, you know, he had a gun or he was being violent or hurting somebody, but none of that was happening. And I think this is a big problem in this country where the media in particular has so heavily demonized people that are struggling. And they've made it to the point where I think a lot of people who maybe don't take mass transit a lot or don't really live here, just they're needlessly afraid. Of course, there are bad people in this world that want to hurt others, but my overwhelming experience of homeless people in this city, unhoused people in this city, is that they just need help. And if they don't need help, they just want to be left alone. They just want to do their own thing. They want to live their lives in peace, just like you and I. So I'm hoping there's a better resolution to this story, but unfortunately, I don't think there could be any positive solution at this point, considering that a man is dead. All right, somebody asked me to show something that's happier. I want to, as much as I enjoy bringing light to that tragic topic, I'd also like to keep things a little lighter here. Hey, Savion, how you doing? Nice to see you again. For those of you that are just joining, we're working... No, that's not the right road. We are working on... We're working on Greenwich Village. Trying to basically build in some of the wildness of this grid here. We've kind of built this area so far. We've built the area around Washington Square Park. Will we grid all this in today? Probably not, but we're going to get pretty far and I'll come back and finish it another day for sure. Just got the head shaved. Very nice. Okay, yeah, thanks, Blacksline. Yeah, I don't really know too much about the SimCity games, so I thank you for helping to clarify. And now I'm lost on Google Maps again. Great. 1 street, 2 street. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so this is Waverly Place. Which... So you get this a lot too. You get a lot of these like counterflows where this is going this way, but then the rest of the road goes this way. And again, using some smaller roads here just to kind of fit in some of these trickier nodes and be more true to a lot of the streets around here, which really are just like one-sided. Of course, putting these one lane roads in makes getting the alignment even tougher, but oh, you know, what are you gonna do, right? Okay, that's there. So now, this is an area where we can do a little bit of playing around. So when you have multiple streets hit the same area like this, it's important to play with some of them and get rid of whatever lane, whatever crosswalks you're not actually using. And then, yeah, making sure there's only traffic in one place there. Okay, this guy, you're gonna actually, you're only gonna go there. You can do that. Okay. I think that should work fine. And then, of course, what we could do if I wanted would be to, you know, kind of give myself some other looks here as well. And then this should solve the line to there. Yeah, I mean, I could obviously make this better, but this is fine. I really like, I mean, obviously I want to keep working on this series, and I don't know what's going to happen with City Skylines 2, and I know that this won't be supported, but I don't, you know, really know yet how I'm going to want to continue on working in this game, but I really do think that I'd like to, if City Skylines 2 is, you know, does come out soon and is what I want it to be, I would love to get back to basics and do just a regular, more creative city on a smaller scale that I could actually detail things, because, I mean, how could I ever detail all of this? Then my frame rate would really tank. Yeah, Ben, that's a good way of putting it. Order to chaos. This is horrific. But maybe I can, maybe I'll do this big road here. What road is that? Let's see if I can even figure it out. So that is the connection of Hudson and 8th Avenue into Hudson Street. So let's see here. A little bit of a tricky one. Okay, so we have two-way bike lane from the intersection to there on a little bit of a curve. And then that's basically the road all the way down. Is that what I have down here too? So this is down to Houston Street. Oh, cool. So actually, man, how far down does this bike lane go? Basically goes all the way down to Canal. This is another one that I can upgrade very easily. And then it is really better not to do the avenues first, because there's two ways you can do this. You can just straight up, like, I could just do this, right? That would like work. But if once in a while you take a little bit of extra time to just align this road as you travel down, then when you go to build the cross streets, it's super easy, and you don't need to use Move It or No Controller to get anything back into the right spot. And it's okay these aren't perfectly straight, because in real life, while they look straight, they're not. These roads are built like hundreds of years ago. Nothing's perfectly straight. Always a little tougher to get things correctly on the angle, though. And then, let's see, a couple more left. Let's do that. And that, and then let's just close it up. Okay, so that should help traffic flow a little bit in the game. And I got a whole nother way. If you look right here, this gap has a gap. This is only going south. Let's fill in this gap here. What road is that? So that's the corner of Houston and Varick? No. This is Houston and 6th Avenue. 6th Avenue's an uptown street, and I think we can just straight up take this and go like this. And then maybe, you know, like this and that and this. Boom. Done. Okay, we're getting there. Yeah, I don't think that person ever finished that asset, but I mean, like putting together a proper bridge asset, like depending on how detailed you want it and how much work you're doing on it, it could take you a long time. I don't do asset design because like it's just I don't have those skills. I haven't learned them either, but it would be really cool to see it because it would be great to have a bridge that doesn't have its, you know, pillars constantly pop back in every time I load the save. Yeah, Maxwell, I'm not really. Do I watch Here Be Bar? I actually like know him personally. We're not like, you know, like super good friends or anything. I know him like he's like a friend of a friend. But you know, I've hung out with him a few times, and he's a good dude for sure. Great channel. You should go subscribe to that channel if you aren't, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, you should go and do that because I'm really close to hitting 3,000 subscribers. I know it's a small number, but it's yet another milestone. I know I'm not going to build Trenton, New Jersey. Oh, I don't hate myself. Yeah, I'm not doing any more once-in-one builds. Like, it's going to be New York and that's it. I did several years ago, not on YouTube, do a Chicago build. But I actually ran into that terrain party bug where it was like 4% too small and made things a little bit difficult to see. But it was a lot of fun. Ooh, my stream is healthy. Good, good. Can't wait for 3K. Let's go. I'm glad about that Reddit post I made the other day that was pretty popular. That got me like you know, a few dozen subscribers and really kind of like helped get me to where I want to be. Slowly but surely though, it's not a race. You know, this is just a hobby for me. It's just fun. I have a good time doing it. And I want to keep doing it. But every little bit of a subscriber count helps. It is nice to feel that people are enjoying it. More people want to see it. More people want to be a part of this, or just hang out and see some videos. I really, really do enjoy making them. I have been absolutely brutalized by work the last several months. There's been a lot of personal things going on, and my family and myself, and I wish like something like this had existed when I was, I don't know, like, you know, in college, or maybe at any point in my life really where I just had like, you know, less overall responsibility. But, you know, being in my mid-30s and having all kinds of obligations like, you know, like my job and whatever else, it's, you know, you do what you can. Come on, game, let's go. This is a cool intersection. It's like bike lanes in 3 directions, and then you have this kind of like, you know, two-way street branching off of there. You know, like I said, I work not too far from this area now, and despite all of that, I still am just like lost so often when I'm walking around there. Like I have to, like, I like live in New York City, and I've lived here for a long time, and I will still take my phone out and be like, where am I going? What street is this? Don't tell anybody, all right? That'll be our little secret. Because I am normally, like, killer with directions. And then we got some cobblestone streets here. Or, not really cobblestone. It's kind of a misnomer. I mean, this is Belgian block. Not cobblestone, but I don't want to get too bogged down in semantics today, do you? Probably not. Has anybody been watching anything good on TV? Anybody got any recommendations for me? I really want to start watching Silo, which I think had its first episode debut on Apple TV yesterday. It's actually based on the book Wool by Hugh Howey, which I read a couple of years ago. Really cool, fun book. Kind of looking forward to giving that a shot. Oh, that's... Where am I? I think I'm like lost again, I swear. Come on. Here we go. So you gotta be careful for crap like this. Like, this street all of a sudden just changing to go this direction. Why? Who knows? And then let's see, it actually dead ends right into there. We're getting there. We're getting this grid up and running. Except I probably should turn the simulation back on. And this now the thing is, because I built the avenues in, it's easier now for me to just kind of like go street by street and connect things pretty easily without having to do a ton of tinkering. Except, you know, when I gotta constantly be changing roads to get these cobblestone streets in. Belgian blocked streets in. Let's see. That's good. So like this street, it's been like two-way, and then all of a sudden it just transitions to being one-way. And that's not something you really see in other parts of Manhattan. Right here, if you've ever been down here, this is where the Whitney is. This is the meatpacking district. I'll give you one chance to guess what it used to be used for back in the day. That's right, it was meatpacking. Now it's just really trendy and expensive. So not an area that I spend much time in. I'm not up on the trends, right? I do the things I like and enjoy. I don't get caught up in, I'm trying not to get caught up in trends, right? Yeah, so this street was like a two-way, and then all of a sudden now it's also a bike lane. Like, why? I mean, it's great. I'm glad there's a bike lane here, but like, why does it stop and start? And then let's see. This actually goes all the way down, Ooh, maybe not that far down. Damn, this road goes on forever. This is Washington Street. Let's see. Can I bring it all the way down to Houston? I think that's where I'd want to stop. Or no. Maybe at least to Christopher Street, which is like here. I think that'll be fine for now. Oh wait, but is it this? Now I'm like, which one is it? There's this like, I really do. I've built this area before in previous saves, and this area just really stinks to build. I mean, it's important to build it, and it looks great when it's done, but it's not easy. Let me not ignore. Have I been to Ohio? Yes, I have. I've been to both Cincinnati and to Cleveland. I almost moved to Cleveland many years ago. Nothing against the city of Cleveland. I'm just glad that didn't work out. My life would certainly be a heck of a lot different had it had. Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to be nostalgic for a different era like the 90s when you could think that people were better, but like, I don't know. Some people have always been good and some people have always been trash. And I do unfortunately think we live in an era where there is some more animosity between folks and people don't give each other the same level of respect that they have in the past, but you have to make the most out of your surroundings. So it's up to all of us to make better the world around us in the way that we want it to be. And I know that sounds a little bit like cliche. I get it, but I really do believe it's true. And I think if more people took the time to, you know, work on themselves like that and focus on being kind to others, then we'd live in a much better, much happier place. But we don't. We live in the Thunderdome that is America. Does this street dead end? Yes, it does. This is when I'll have to go back and do also like all these connections on West Street here. I think I might need to redo this area entirely. I actually really want to, and we'll back out of here for a second. I think that's enough gridding for a moment. As you can see right now, like West Street, West Side Highway kind of ends, like we're kind of right where it starts to become a highway up here. And I would really like to, if not do this exactly right, but at least hack it in, get some people in from off the map here. And same thing with the FDR. The FDR right now I have ending right on 34th Street. It's much harder to build up here because there's a lot of like underground sections and above. Look at it on Google Maps. The FDR is like, who thought this was a good idea? Terrific. Hey, thanks, Blast. I'm glad you've been watching for a little bit and that you were back into the game. Central Park and the Met. I probably will at some point do the very southern section of Central Park. Ooh, try saying that 10 times fast. It'd be a lot of fun to detail this. In one of my previous New York builds, I did build out the Central Park Zoo. That was a lot of fun. Maybe I'll consider that. The Met I probably won't get to because the Met is like... So here's the reservoir. The Met's like right here. And I just don't plan on building up that far. Yeah, Robert definitely did, but he is not. He's rolling in his grave right now as I criticize his illustrious work. And when I say illustrious, I mean hot garbage. Please rot in hell. Talking about Robert Moses, guys. New York's favorite villain. If you're into transit and urban design and you live in New York, you must hate that man. It's required. Okay, we're gonna do about another 15 minutes here of streaming, so that I can rest my voice and maybe even drag my broken foot outside today to get some of this beautiful weather and meet up with some friends. What do you want to see? And what do you want to see next? Like in future videos. So I have a little bit of footage right now of the Lower East Side, and I might get back to this and kind of do a bunch of building around here and try to fill in this area. It's highway time. But it's also like, I think it's really good to blame Robert Moses because he's a piece of crap and he deserves it. But at the same time, like, we're currently, like, the city's currently planning, I don't know if it's the city or the state, whatever. Politicians are currently planning on expanding the Van Wyck Expressway. When there's, so if you go look up the Van Wyck Expressway, it's in Queens. So in Queens, on the eastern edge, you have Flushing Meadows Corona Park, which is where they had the 1964 World's Fair. At the north end of it is where Citi Field is, where the Mets play. There's a stop on the 7 train, there's a stop on LARR, and it's right by downtown Flushing, which is a rapidly growing neighborhood home to one of the biggest Chinatowns in the world. There's the Queen's Museum there, there's the Queen's Zoo, there's the Hall of Science, there's the Botanical Gardens, there's cemeteries. It's beautiful out there. And it's wrapped by highways. Literally, there's highways on either side of it. Grand Central Parkway on one and the Van Wyck on the other. And to me, if you're going to make the dumb decision to actually expand one of them, then knock the other down. Why do you need 2 parallel highways in this day and age? Like crowding out what could otherwise be a beautiful park. So instead of being in this nice clean park, you got to be breathing in, you know, auto exhaust and brake dust and tire dust. It's ridiculous. I'm not a traffic engineer. I couldn't tell you which would be the better one to knock down, the Van Wyck or the Grand Central Parkway. But if there's ever a case in New York for highway removal, it should be that. Parallel highways that, you know, aren't really needed? Come on. Yeah, Savion, I agree. I really do need to get back down and do more of this. I have come back down here occasionally and like added in buildings as they get released from the workshop. So I think like this building here is pretty new. And this building here, I think right there is a newer building. I also added in this whole block right here. This is a recent addition to the workshop that I added in. I think fills in a nice block over there. But yeah, I would love to like build out more of Lower Manhattan. Even like Tribeca would be a lot of fun to do because it's probably a little easier than Lower Manhattan's so hard because so many buildings are so unique looking and like you really want to like hope there's an asset for it. But in reality, of an 8-year-old game with a new one on the horizon, we're probably not going to get a lot more New York assets. And that's okay. That's okay. But, ooh, no, Alistair. I like that, though. And I'm a big fan of City Nerd. I like his work. I love his, like, dry delivery. I think it's really fun. How would you guys feel about me at some point in the future doing some more straight urbanism type topics, New York based still, like where's my post-it note? I have a post-it note here somewhere. Give me a moment. Oh, here it is. I don't know how well you can see this, but let me waiting for like the lag to show up and show me on the screen, but this is like how you explain the roads in Queens, which are like absolutely like batshit crazy in Queens. They're just like you could be on the corner of like 39th Road, 39th Ave, and 39th Place. Maybe not exactly that scenario, but like that's what I'm talking about. Like they have a lot of the same numbers and names, and I have thought about like, you know, just like, you know, take out my phone, get like a stabilizer, maybe get a lavalier mic, and then I watched some of Alan Fisher. I'm not like the biggest fan of his. No disrespect. It's just like not really my style of content and humor. Yeah, but I watch a lot of Urbanist guys. I watch like RM Transit. I watch City Nerd, and City Beautiful's pretty good. Somebody mentioned Here Be Bar before. You know, again, I know him personally. I do watch their videos once in a while. Yeah, so I've wanted to get back out there. I need to get some equipment. I need to... I haven't decided whether I want to do it as like a, hey, here's me in the flesh with the lavalier mic on, a la, you know, Tom Scott or something like that. Or do I want to just go around and record some cool footage and then do voiceovers and recording and editing afterwards? Kind of in the style of... Oh my god, the British dude that does all the London videos. I feel like a jerk for forgetting people's names now. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Oh no, see, I'm not even in my correct YouTube account right now. Oh, I do. Oh, Mystic Transit's one I want to discuss as well. Mystic Transit's really good. He's actually been on stream a couple of times. He's hopped in. He's a subscriber. Yeah, thanks, Savion. Yeah, no more one-to-one builds, guys. This is more than enough. Plus, there's so much more we can do here. There's just, this is like I'm never gonna be done with this. I mean, it will end eventually. Either the save will break, or people will stop caring, or City Skylines 2 will come out and people will really start caring. But for right now, we are just gonna keep going. You know, we built out a good amount of this grid today. We got kind of like all of this done and kind of the pattern for the rest. Gridding actually just goes much faster when I'm just not recording and I'm just sitting at like 10 p.m. like procrastinating, going to sleep, just like bouncing back and forth to Google Maps, just trying to get shit done. Yeah, Harold, the only one way I'd say that I might do another one-to-one city would be in City Skylines 2. If that game comes out and it's what I want it to be and it has the ability for me to do something like this better, I'm not going to remake New York. Too many times I've done it in City Skylines 1 already. But I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll do, maybe I could do like a Chicago. Like I said, I have tried that before. I wish I had like footage from that. I might have some screenshots somewhere I can share at some point, but it was years ago, and it was starting to look really cool before I realized that I had that 4% terrain party bug, and it really did just kind of mess things up. But that's okay. Nothing gold can stay. One thing you'll notice in a lot of areas, a lot of my, this is a common bug in the Surface Painter, but a lot of my like places that I've colored in gray are now missing. Still do really like how this build came out for Hudson Yards, although it looks so dark now. When you make New York, did you have mods to make the buildings? So all of these buildings, Harold, are from the workshop. There are a few buildings that are from the workshop that I've then PO'd to, you know, make them smaller or bigger, but so the reason why I have 64 gigs of RAM is that I can download every single New York asset on the workshop. If you go into any of my normal videos, in the description, there is a link to my collection on the workshop of all the New York assets. It's pretty comprehensive. Tim Chin Walks. I've not heard of that one. I'll have to give it a look. Yeah, Savion, I did see that video on the 179, which is, I liked that video a lot because I had it in my head that, oh yeah, the 179s had all these problems when they were released, and I just assumed that they were still problematic, but it's really cool to hear that they're not anymore, and also really cool to hear that my train, the 7, which runs the R188, is very reliable, which I can attest to. I've been living here 6 months now, and I think like maybe only twice have I had like any kind of problem with my train. What are people saying? Oh yeah, all this requires Steam. Also, like, I am very much a PC gamer. I get that consoles are easy and a lot of people really enjoy them, and you know, all the power to you, but I am a PC gamer. I used to be a console gamer. I have a Super Nintendo and a GameCube hooked up over there. I had an N64 growing up. I got a Wii in a box somewhere. I owned an Xbox 360 when I lived in the UK, and that's it. I have not owned one since. I love Nintendo games, but I really hate Nintendo's consumer and business practices, so I'm not going to give them money for an underpowered Switch. And then most of the exclusives that you can get on Xbox or PlayStation are now on computers, so I know those ports aren't always great, but I still really do enjoy PC gaming. I play a lot of Civ. That's what distracts me from playing this too much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Savion, I mean, the R46s stink, I mean, but they're so old, and they are getting replaced now by the R211s? Is that the new one they just started rolling out? Yeah, yeah, right now there's like one train running on the A that is an R211. And these are new trains that are being made by Kawasaki. I believe they're the last cars to be the NTT, the new train technology style, which has been around since the early 2000s. Although these have wider doors and therefore smaller windows and updated find screens. So the informational screens inside the station which tell you which stop you're at. And then one of the things that a lot of rail fans are very excited for is they have also ordered a small number of articulated subway trains. So bendy ones with open gangways in them, where you can walk between the cars without having to illegally open up the door in between. Now, a lot of New Yorkers find that controversial because they think that, oh, that means, you know, if a homeless person's being wild in one car, then you can't escape them, which to me is ridiculous. Like, first of all, it's, again, further leading to the demonization of the unhoused people in the city. But also, like, they're not going to chase you down the train. Like, what kind of monsters and animals do you think the average human being are? And I'm not saying that bad things don't happen on the subway and tragedies don't happen. But when you consider that right now, 4 million people a day are riding the subway, those events are so remarkably rare. Yet we don't harp on the fact that like 100 people die every day from car accidents. 40,000 people die every year from car accidents. And people aren't saying, oh my God, we need to do something about it. Well, I mean, people are, but not the right people, not enough people. Ooh, they should be running it later in May. That's cool. I mean, although I haven't seen the new 211s yet because I don't really take the A too often. But I feel like the foamers are going to go crazy for trying to check out the open gangway cars once they start running. Yeah, Blacksland, I agree. I want New City Skylines 2 to be less cartoon-like. I'd love it to be focused not as much around cars and traffic as this game is. I'd love to see it be easy to get assets converted over. I'd like to see a lot of the best parts of the best mods be included in the base game and the creators fairly compensated for their work. I'd like bigger maps. I'd like it to be easier to do certain things. Who knows? Like, everyone has their wish list. I'm sure there's a million posts on Reddit about it, but in the end, I think the developers of this game, they know what we want. And the game might not be perfect when it launches, but they will make it better. And I'm excited for it. I don't really pre-order a lot of games, but that will be one game that I pre-order, and I want to be playing on day one. That's like a game that, like, if the reviews come in solid, I might like take the day off from work to play that game, because it's just like, you know, so much of my time and my identity is built around this game, and I want to be one of the first to dig into a new one and maybe make some videos about it, if you know what I mean. But if you do know what I mean, you've been here for the last hour and a half. You've been enjoying the stream. I've been enjoying having you here. But it is time for us to wrap up. The good news is that I will not go 6 months till the next one. We will get back to a reasonably regular schedule on doing these live streams. There will be more videos soon. I'd say probably within the next couple of weeks I should have a video out. And we're going to keep trying new things, and we're going to keep advancing. I really do appreciate all the time that you've all taken, the great chat we've had today. It's really been fantastic. We're building things back up. We're going to do it bigger next time. Thank you all so much for being here. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you all soon. Bye.